Welcome to the video. Prefer to listen in an environment where you will not be distracted. For a more effective listening experience, let's go to the video. Once upon a time, in a quaint little house at the edge of a sleepy suburban town, lived a family of four. The Johnsons. The Johnsons were an ordinary, happy family, but they were about to experience something that would turn their peaceful home into a house of nightmares. The house itself had a history whispered about by the townsfolk. It was said that the home had been built on the grounds of an old cemetery that had been relocated decades ago. Superstitious neighbors often warned the Johnsons about the peculiar happenings that occurred in the house, but they brushed it off as mere tales. One gloomy evening, as the wind howled outside and rain lashed against the windows, the Johnsons gathered in the living room. It was a typical family night with board games and popcorn. Little Lily, who was only 8 years old, suddenly asked, "Mom, can we play hide and seek in the dark?" Her mother, Sarah, chuckled, thinking it would be a harmless game to pass the time during the storm. "All right, sweetie, but let's keep it safe. We'll only hide in the living room," she replied. The lights were turned off, and Lily, along with her 10-year-old brother Jake and their parents, scattered throughout the dimly lit room. They counted to 10 together and then began searching for each other. As Sarah hid behind the old velvet curtains, she suddenly heard a whisper in her ear, so faint she thought it was her imagination. "Found you," the voice said. She shivered and turned around, but found no one there. Meanwhile, Lily hid under the dining table, but she felt an icy hand brush against her cheek. Terrified, she couldn't help but scream. "I'm here!" The rest of the family rushed to her side, and Sarah switched on the lights. In the harsh light, they realized they were the only ones in the room. Nobody else was hiding or playing tricks. They checked every corner of the house, but there was no sign of an intruder. Sarah was certain she had heard that whisper, and Lily swore someone had touched her face. With a nervous laugh, they chalked it up to their imaginations playing tricks on them. But the unease lingered in the air as they turned off the lights and continued the game. As the night wore on, strange occurrences became more frequent. Shadows danced on the walls, and eerie footsteps echoed through the hallway. The family heard whispers and laughter, but no one was there. Their home, once warm and inviting, had transformed into a chilling maze of fear. Terrified, they huddled together in the living room, where the atmosphere grew colder and more oppressive by the minute. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out completely, plunging them into total darkness. Their screams pierced the silence as they fumbled for their flashlights. When the lights finally came back on, they discovered something that sent shivers down their spines. Words were scrawled on the walls in what appeared to be blood-red paint. The message read, "You're not alone." The Johnsons fled their home that night, never to return. The once peaceful house became a place whispered about in the town. With tales of its haunted history, no one dared to enter, for fear of encountering the malevolent presence that had taken hold of their home. And so, the Johnsons' house stood as a chilling reminder that sometimes the scariest things can happen in the place where you should feel the safest, your own home, especially when it holds dark secrets from the past. And now I'm going to tell you about our second story. What happened to Max in a dark alley? Have a good listen. Once upon a time, there was a kid named Max who was 10 years old. Just like me, it was a chilly autumn evening, and Max found himself walking down a dark, deserted street. The street lights flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance around him. The leaves on the trees overhead rustled in the wind, creating a spooky symphony of whispers. Max was on his way home after a fun day of play with his friends. He had lost track of time, and now the sun had set, leaving the neighborhood in darkness. His heart thumped loudly in his chest as he quickened his pace, hoping to reach the comforting glow of his home's porch light soon. As he walked, he noticed the houses on the street were all dark, their windows like vacant eyes staring into the night. The air was filled with the distant hooting of an owl, and the occasional rustling of small creatures in the bushes, adding to the eerie atmosphere. The aroma of damp leaves and earth hung heavy in the air. Suddenly, he heard a strange sound coming from an alleyway up ahead. It was a soft, eerie melody, like a ghostly tune played on a piano. Max stopped in his tracks, his eyes wide with fear. He knew he should turn back, but his curiosity got the better of him. With cautious steps, he approached the alleyway and peered inside. To his horror, he saw a shadowy figure sitting at an old, weathered piano that had been left there. The figure was dressed in tattered clothes and had long, unkempt hair that covered their face. Max's heart pounded louder as he watched in terror. He couldn't see the figure's face, but he knew something was terribly wrong. He noticed that the piano was covered in a thick layer of dust, as if it hadn't been touched in years. How could anyone be playing it? The eerie tune continued, its melancholic notes filling the air with a sense of dread. Max took a step back, but the figure suddenly stopped playing and slowly turned its head to face him. In the dim light, Max could see a pale, gaunt face with empty eye sockets. The figure's mouth opened wide. Rev. It let out a blood-curdling scream that echoed through the alley, sending Max into a panic. He turned and ran as fast as his legs could carry him, his backpack bouncing wildly on his shoulders. The chilling scream pursued him, growing louder and closer with each passing second. Max finally burst through his front door, slamming it shut behind him. Safe inside, he caught his breath, his heart still racing. He knew he had encountered something truly terrifying on that dark street. From that day on, Max never ventured out alone at night, and he always made sure to be home well before the sun disappeared behind the horizon. It was a spooky tale that Max would share with his friends, and it became a neighborhood legend that would be whispered about for years to come. The mystery of the ghostly piano player in the dark alley would continue to haunt their imaginations, leaving them with a lasting sense of unease whenever they walked down that eerie street. The legend grew, with kids daring each other to visit the alley, and some even claiming to have seen the figure, forever shrouded in darkness, playing that chilling melody on the dusty piano keys. Thank you very much for listening. You can express your thoughts about the story in the comments. You can also choose the topic of our next story by specifying it in the comments. See you in another video.